Happy 2022, everybody, and welcome back to the start of competitive League of Legends in the West. In the West, I know, Kenobi. I know you're ready to go,
I
but
saved you
welcome
at the
back.
start. I saved you. I
Yeah,
got you
I
on that
know,
one.
I know, you did. Welcome back, everybody, to competitive League of Legends. My name is DJ, joined today by Kenobi, as we're going to be bringing you the open qualifiers for the path to LCS for Proving Grounds here with Unified. We've got two channels running simultaneously, and today we're going to be bringing you the first of those rounds with no team versus no ace, going head to head, two teams without that fabled org. But that's just something that we here in the amateur space are very used to, and it's something that the teams that have run this, you look back at Zeus Gaming, you look back before them to no org, there's been a lot of success for teams like this.
Hey, sometimes there's those diamonds in the rough. It always happens in kind of these like open tournaments where, March Madness is kind of what I alluded to, where it's like you have these teams that kind of come out of nowhere as dark horses, maybe not affiliated with one of those big orgs. So I definitely think that this is going to be a great learning experience for everyone involved to kind of see if there's any of these, teams that aren't attached to one of those bigger orgs to make a big move through this bracket.
And they are, of course, looking to make big moves against one another here today as this split does get started. Another chance for all of our incredible North American talent to move their way up the pipeline, to show what they've got with this new format. Of course, a little bit different than last year where we had multiple tournaments. This time, just two circuits to prove yourself, to get that chance to qualify for the end of year Proving Grounds tournament. And now the OQs, they count as well. These were just qualifying matches last year, Kenobi. Now they count for points. So every single match is definitely going to count for these teams.
Yeah, I believe they count for 5 points each per win. So even if you're losing a couple of games here and there, winning a game at the end, if you aren't, making it through far in the bracket, still just those wins do have an impact. So like you mentioned, every game really does matter. And I think that makes it even more exciting, right? Because, maybe there's like this one game here or there that like has huge impacts point wise further in the bracket and further into this year in the split. So I think the format's going to be really cool and interesting. And for no ace versus no team, it's going to be a little bit hard for us because they're very similar in terms of names, so might have a few flubs here and there, but I think these are two teams that, when I look at these two teams, I see on one hand Griffin, who is this kind of dynamic, up-and-coming jungler, the first time that they've been playing competitive, I believe, here in amateur, and then on the other side, you've got Kitsuo, known, I think, throughout, the league and just League of Legends in general, where this is going to be kind of like this like new blood versus the old guard coming in, and that jungle matchup for me is going to be what my eyes are focused on.
Yeah, I really think it will be. And before we do hop into some of these individual matchups, for those who didn't, maybe see the roster announcements, the Proving Grounds pod, we are looking at, once again, no team, which is Dragoon in the top lane, Griffin in the jungle, Blaze in the mid lane, Scooped, and now Jishuka, I believe he wants to go by, formerly known as Plux, the old Revival bot lane, heading up that bottom lane now for no team. On the other end of the Rift, we've got Noise. It's Topo in the top lane, Kitsuo in the jungle, Arguments in the mid lane with Corgi, and now Omnix playing in that bottom lane together. And I think you already touched on the matchup that we are most interested coming into today, this Griffin versus Kitsuo matchup. Kitsuo has been one of those players around the amateur scene. Everyone knows how mechanically gifted he is. He has been so challenging on so many teams in the past, and now Griffin, this brand new 15-year-old into the amateur scene, his very first game as a semi-pro on that path to LCS, he's got to go up against one of the best.
Yeah, and this is definitely like a trial by fire kind of thing, right? Where it's like, if you're going to prove yourself in like the amateur scene, I think Kitsuo is definitely someone to go up against who you can like prove your worth against, because Kitsuo, like we talked about, is a very well-known name, and I think that this is definitely going to show what Griffin can do against someone at the level of Kitsuo. I think we're probably going to instantly see Lee Sin ban. If Lee Sin makes it through this ban phase that we're going to be seeing soon, I'd be incredibly shocked, because Kitsuo, if there's one thing that he's known for besides maybe the J4, it's the Lee Sin. So that's definitely something to look out for. But on the other side of the map, we have different players, a lot of mix of names that are very well known, like Dragoon, who won the scouting ground last year with Team Cloud Drake. And then on the other side, you have some names like Topo and Arguments, who have been around a bit. But then there's some not no names, but unknown names, I would say. Corki and Omnix in that bot lane do have some previous synergy in some other tournaments, but it seems like there is a little bit of a mix here between us being able to learn what's going to happen and learn about what these players are like as we move forward forward throughout this split and throughout this year.
Yeah, and it may be a mystery for some of us out here, but I will say it's certainly, according to the coaching staff and some of the managers, it's not a mystery to anyone in the amateur scene. We've heard from both sides that both these teams have some respect and some fear for one another, regardless of the seeding that's been placed. This should be a very, very explosive matchup, and definitely one where you could expect a, quote, seeding upset coming in through here. It should be very hotly contested from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, No Ace is coming in as the 27th seed, and No Team is coming in as the 6th. And, we asked a little bit about the manager XT, and they're like, yeah, we actually have some respect here for, No Ace. They are much higher valued, I think, in No Team's mind than the seeding may suggest. So even though it is the 27th seed, I think there is definitely, like you mentioned, a lot of respect, touching of gloves at the start here that we're currently going to be seeing from them, because I think that this matchup could end up being somewhat of an upset if, Kitsuo is able to be the Kitsuo that we know, get all those resources. But that's also the thing, is Griffin is a lot like that player as well, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it certainly will be. We're just still waiting for a couple of members to get ready here for the draft to get started. So is just a slight delay, and now we are kind of getting word that production is about ready. So before we do hop into draft, before we get started with the show, do want to thank our sponsors for making this show possible. Big thank you to Atlantic, Tipalti, and Skulls, sponsors here for Unified. They are the ones helping to fuel this Proving Grounds production that will be put on all year long. So as always, take a look at their website, see what they can offer to you as they do to us here at Unified, as we are getting ready for our first game of the day and of the 2022 season here on the path to LCS.
I cannot wait to get started, man. It feels like, we had LPL a little bit earlier today, but this is the first time, in the West. It's been so long. 10 days is way too long for us to start League of Legends in this year. I wanted to get going like right after New Year's Eve, wake up the next morning and just go and start casting some League of Legends, because I think this is going to be such a great season and great year that we have between both these teams to start off with, and just throughout the year in general, as it still looks like we are waiting for some teams. They got to make sure they're all prepared, want to start off on the right foot, don't want to, make any mistakes, got to cross all your T's, dot all your I's, make sure everything is perfect because you want to start off on the right foot.
They're just like the rest of us, Kenobi. They've been waiting for this for so long. They've forgotten a little bit about what's going on. That off season, it's taxing. You've seen some of the tweets coming out from the casters in the community. Everyone's been raring to go on the pro leagues, the academy league. If you take a look, I myself have been waiting for this. So maybe the players just a little jittery as well, kind of getting back into the rhythm, getting back into the flow. And one thing that does bring up is something that was mentioned on both sides, and something we've heard as well from people in the community, right? Proving Grounds Pod mentioned this as well. A lot of these teams just formed, right? When General Sniper from 100X was having his interview, they'd had like 2 scrims that day. So it's been a week, and some of these teams still will be a little jittery, will maybe not have fully fledged strategies. And that does offer a lot to teams that are lower seeded to potentially find avenues to get that upset.
And it's a very interesting time in League of Legends, I think, especially with the recent changes that we've seen. The TP changes have kind of shifted the meta incredibly from what we saw last year, right? Those TP changes, if you're not aware, you can only TP to towers before 14 minutes, so that makes things a little bit more isolated in that bot lane. No more fiestas in the bot lane is what I've heard, as looks like we are actually starting to get into the draft soon here. It's time, DJ. We are in the draft. Here we go.
Yes, we are, and no ego here today, as we do see the Lee Sin banned away on red side by No Team. We will see the Caitlyn and the Thresh banned away from No Ace, and this kind of goes to what you were talking about, Kenobi, pushing bottom lanes. Caitlyn, Jinx, Lulu, Thresh, right? With that TP change gone, you can't get TP'd behind for the first 14 minutes. A lot less parties in the bot lane, a lot more picks available to some of these AD carries.
And you can see No Team know exactly where No Ace's bread is buttered, right? The jungle, the Karthus is gone, one of those AP junglers, as well as the Lee Sin. Definitely first ban you would expect, as No Ace is going to ban out the Camille on their side. Very potent top laner at this point, incredibly strong. I wouldn't be shocked if this is another jungle ban, but it could also be an AD ban, like a Jinx. Make sure that you have some sort of level-headedness into that next part of the draft. But it's actually going to be the Alulu as the ban, so Enchanter supports here. I mean, really looking at the looks, but it's actually going to be the Victor first pick on the blue side. That's definitely a power pick. Victor, very just a potent pick, I would say, to start off first. Not really any losing matchups, I would say. He's just pretty okay.
Yeah, certainly has been very potent in this preseason. I mean, was very potent at the start of preseason before some of the first strike nerfs came in and the nerfs to his kit, but still in a very, very healthy state. And arguments and the likes of Noace, they're feeling that he is still top of the board for that mid lane pool. Quick answer is the hover of the Jinx, but it will just be that patented Griffin Hecarim. He's a resource-heavy jungle. Cubby mentioned it. He loves his Dianas, his Hecarims, something he can farm and carry on, and he will get that comfort right away.
Oh, I'm excited for this one, dude. Griffin on Hecarim, that is definitely what you like to see starting this off here on that first pick for the red side of no team. So now you've opened up a little bit for Kitsuo to figure out what he wants to play against that Hecarim. As it's going to be the Jinx locked in. So no support yet for the Jinx, but I think if you're going into this second phase, or, those first two picks for no team, those are some pretty strong and potent picks, as on the other side, just going to secure that bot lane with the Ashe and the Karma. So a lot of pushing power from this bot lane already, and you talked about it with the TP changes. You can't just TP behind people anymore, so this pushing power is going to be very strong for Ace, and we'll see how no team is going to counteract that.
Yeah, this is heavy pushing power. It's about as heavy as you can get. I mean, Karma is such an impressive
Karma and
layer,
Ashe just WWW.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. We might see some Swifties come out or something. I would hate to be up against this lane. It will just be the Nautilus, so do expect this No-Ace bottom lane to have that early push, to have the early pressure, but eventually, as we do typically see in fights, this Nautilus will, of course, be super useful in the hands of Jashuka as he attempts to get down some of that CC and engage.
And you can see no team already know, now we got to ban the Jarvan away from Kitsuo. That's really what they're signaling right there. I saw in one of the questionnaires, something that people were really scared about was the Kitsuo Jarvan. So now he's not going to be able to be in there anymore. I would expect no team to probably continue to pinch the jungle pool because, I mean, they already have theirs. And you really want to make Kitsuo as uncomfortable, let's say, as possible. As the Darius ban is going to come out, I think that's a Dragoon. That is a hard Dragoon ban right there.
Oh yeah, Dragoon's got two now, right? The Camille's taken away. That's the hard Darius ban against the patented Dragoon Darius. So we had a year ago, we had a couple of matchups, I think, between Dragoon and Quacker when he was still in the league. Those are those specialty Darius top laners. That was a prio pick for those matchups. It was pretty fun. But we'll see what the final bans are. Still waiting around.
Another jungler.
Yeah, just more attention to Kitsuo. Griffin versus Kitsuo, and they do not want to give him anything. There's the Gangplank that you were predicting, Kenobi. So that one will not be available for Dragoon either.
So now I wonder what Dragoon kind of plays here. I think Ornn is definitely a possibility here. Blind picking Ornn is a little bit iffy, but I think you can still do it. You also have, I think Poppy's been played a little bit. Cho'Gath is also a potential that I've seen in a couple of these matchups, but the jungle pool for No Ace is very pinched right now, and for no team, I think they'll probably opt into picking their mid laner, it looks like, which it is going to be the Syndra. I think this is just, again, very just standard pick here in that mid lane. Blaze is going to be able to play it. No Ace, okay, so No Ace, this could be either top Poppy, or it could be jungle Poppy. We don't know just yet, because that is definitely, I was talking with Beatdown. Beatdown says that jungle Poppy is very good. He loves how much damage it does and how much it can walk around that jungle. And Kitsuo, I would maybe, ask to see potentially here a Diana as a possibility, in that jungle, but it's actually going to be the Xin Zhao. So instantly locked in. A lot of early pressure here I'm seeing from Ace.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? This Xin Zhao is very aggressive, very in your face, but typically does want a little bit of help, and Victor does not get pushed against Syndra. Blaze, we've heard he's got a pretty sick Syndra as well, so this could be a little bit tricky in the mid jungle, but right, this is what we talked about, how important this matchup is. It is the mid jungle. It is these two junglers, and we got a Mordekaiser to come in against the Poppy for Dragoon. Gonna live up on that island and try to punish him. So I mean, looking at the drafts here, Kenobi, I don't expect a lot of action top lane. It's looking like this is going to be decided in these early stages by this mid jungle.
And kind of when we talked about, between, some of the coaches that we asked questions to, it seems like the 4-1 kind of split metas in more so than anything else right now. And that's what I kind of am seeing with both these teams, where it's like Poppy's on the island, Mordekaiser's going to be on the island in top lane, and the rest of the matchup is going to come down to those other four. What I see right now from no team is if this game gets late, they're going to, it's just they're on a timer right now if you're no ace, I think, right here, because Jinx in the late game, Hecarim in the late game, Syndra in the late game is going to be quite a bit of a problem here. So I think for no ace, what they have in terms of their pushing power, at least in the bot lane, I think they can really hinder that bot lane a little bit and potentially make some dives happen towards that bot lane with the jungler help coming in from Kitsuo.
Yeah, it could certainly be a possibility that TP's not there to protect you anymore. This lane will have the push, and Jin Zhao can get some work done early, particularly when it is in the hands of an aficionado like Kitsuo, who, again, mentioned to us, right? This is a team, we heard it for a little bit from XT. Kitsuo knows how good this team is. He's already been hinting at it to us. He thinks they are way, way underrated, and he thinks they're going to take some people by surprise at the start of this tournament. He's certainly given himself the agency he needs to make some of those plays, Kenobi. Now it's going to be about delivering up against this very hyped youngster in Griffin on the other end.
And I like what you talked about in terms of kind of like the 2v2 in the jungle or in the jungle mid matchup. The thing about the 2v2 is that you were talking about how Jin Zhao needs a little bit of help. He doesn't necessarily have too much of it with the Victor, and I think that's a pretty important point, because like if you look at the other side in the 2v2, like Syndra scatter the weak into Hecarim, that person's just dead. Victor doesn't get to live through that. So I think that jungle 2v2 will be incredibly impactful, and it'll be interesting to see how Griffin in his first split, or his first competitive split in like semi-pro amateur, is going to be able to synergize with Blaze, because I think that will be a matchup that kind of is going to be incredibly important as we look forward throughout this.
Synergy, of course, between that mid jungle will be important for this game. It'll be important throughout the split. It should be one of those big linchpins. And remember, it's very, very early on in the split. These players have not had a lot of time to gel perfectly. They may have had some experience beforehand, like we've seen from both these bottom lanes, but there might be some things to still work out. We'll see if that translates onto the Rift, or if we're just going to get some of that glorious gameplay that can come out from all these talented individuals, Kenobi. Questions for the coaching staff, questions for us, is still waiting a little bit for the game to load in. Should be no more than a couple more minutes. But Kenobi, you mentioned the timer that's onto no aces heads with their composition. How long do you think they have to get themselves ahead to really take over this game?
I think it definitely has to be towards that kind of early game, I think pre 15 minutes, before like the TP actually starts to become like a really big issue, I think is when that sweet spot is, because once Jinx, gets like 2 or 3 items and we get towards that 25-30 minute mark, where if it's even, I'm definitely, taking no team in a lot of those skirmishes, because look at the skirmishing power on no team. It's very, you have the Nautilus as an engagement tool, Hecarim as well. Jinx can kind of like sit back to front and play that way. The good thing about no aces team is what I see from them is a ton of disengage in like a skirmish, right? You have Poppy, you also have Karma, who can just kind of just like throw you guys out of there. It's very hard to kind of aggressively dive onto Ashe as well with the W and with the stun and the slows. So I think there needs to be some kind of clever engagements from no team here, because if not, I think Ace actually has a pretty decent chance of like getting away and like forcing out big cooldowns and then re-engaging on their own terms.
Yeah, Ace would have all the tools that they would want to sort of force those plays, Kenobi. So the question is, right, where can they find them, and where can they find them? And if you are looking at the early game, if you're Kitsuo, where would you be going to make some of these plays, to get some of these kills and try to accelerate your team ahead?
Probably bot. I mean, bot seems like where it would be the best option, because you want, if Ashe, Karma is ahead, they're going to be so abusive against the Jinx Nautilus. Like, it's very, very difficult unless like a skirmish breaks out and Jinx is going to have to be sitting under tower. Jinx, I think, is a linchpin right now for no team, because if you can get Jinx like to the late mid game at a pretty decent amount with like 2 items, 3 items, you should be fine. So I think hindering a little bit of that Jinx like ramping up would be a good idea for Kitsuo. I think you could also just go mid and try and make Syndra's life completely miserable too. It's just that you don't have a lot of help with the Victor. You do have like some sort of gank setup with like the Victor W right on top of a Xin Zhao gank, but I would say it's probably going to be more towards the bot side. Definitely mid I wouldn't hate going mid either. So I think either or for Kitsuo, whatever he's feeling and whatever he feels like Griffin's trying to do.
All right, so bot 1, mid 2. Will our top laners get any attention, or will we be seeing them at 15 minutes when the TP's ready?
See you at 15 minutes, dude. I'm just going to go ahead, eat some lunch. Poppy's just going to throw the buckler out at Mordekaiser a couple of times. No. I think Poppy does have a pretty okay matchup right here because you do have that pseudo ranged attack with the passive, and Mordekaiser doesn't have any range to him at all. So I think Poppy can get somewhat of a push, like manipulating the wave and stuff. But I wouldn't expect like huge fights to break out inside of that top lane unless like something really drastic happens and there's like a real necessity for it.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, those TP changes. You already had the top island memes for several years in League, and I feel the TP has only done it a little more dirty.
There's just like a giant, like
bigger.
The island just got like smaller, and the ocean has just gone like incredibly bigger at this point. It feels like.
Yeah, a little unlucky, but we will see if Dragoon and Topo can make some plays, can get some advantages in lane, and try to push them elsewhere. Of course, we will, at the very least, see them when the team fighting stage comes around with what they have selected for themselves. But given what we've got in the draft, given what we've seen from the players and what we've heard, Kenobi, I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you think our first game of the day of the season is going to go?
Put me on the spot. Okay. So I do like the draft that we saw from Noace, and I mean, I like both of the drafts, honestly. I think Noace did a good job of kind of playing towards the disengage aspect against what No Team was running in terms of their just like wanting to be pretty aggressive in terms of their engagement. But I think this is where Griffin starts his like run of this is where, you know, the jungler, right? I think this is very anime arc for me, where it's like the old guard is coming in, you know, trying to beat the new blood, and the new blood is going to take him over and like hand the baton over, and then Griffin's going to go far as the eye can see, and I think this is going to be a No Team victory here. But, you know, I'm going to hedge my bets a little bit. I think No Ace does have a chance here.
Well, hedging your bets. Come on, Kenobi. You gotta get stuck in there,
Look,
buddy.
I play both sides. That means I always win.
This is where it starts, meme, dude. This is where it starts.
But if I play both sides, I win either way. So see, that's the thing.
See,
it's always sunny.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal in certain circles in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, not quite here in the amateur scene, but still waiting for the draft to finish up in client. Shouldn't be that much longer until game starts. We will take a very short break and be right back with you for the first game of the day of the OQ of the 2022 season between No Team and No Ace. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just 2 more minutes between us and game time. Had a little bit of a mix-up between the players trying to figure out the schedule. Again, we mentioned, right? Everybody's just a little rusty, a little excited. A lot of tweeting, a lot of talking. There's no League of Legends yet, but we're close. Very, very, very close.
So soon. I'm itching to get into this matchup because, again, what we talked about in the draft, so many expectations for this game. So it's just... I cannot wait to see what Griffin does because, everything that I've heard about Griffin from, PG Pod and from other places is that Griffin is one of the next big things in jungle. So I am very excited to see them play and see if that actually holds true because Kitsuo is a very competent jungler in their own right. We literally saw in the draft 4 out of the 5 bans were to Kitsuo in that jungle. So they're trying to give Griffin the best possible way to start off his career right.
Yeah, and he should have all the tools alongside his partner in Blaze there in the mid lane. We'll have the prio, we'll have his comfort. So the stage is set right now for Griffin to show us what he can do. And of course, it's just one game in the sea of many that we will see this year, Kenobi. But boy, what a start it would be to come out in game 1 and just absolutely tear it up for your new squad in the amateur scene.
And we do have to remember also, like I mentioned a little bit before, if you're coming here, each win is 5 points in just the overall circuit of the split. So wins, no matter where they are, always are going to matter, and you want to start accruing those points as fast as you can and as quickly as you can. So I think going forward between, no team and no ace, kind of what we talked about between all these, players and everything, it's to me the jungle versus the jungle matchup. It started out that way when I was prepping. I think it's going to be this way with the Xin Zhao, with the Hecarim, very impactful junglers in their own right, where you can have some playmaking in your back pocket. So we'll see how the rest of the team kind of floats around those two, because I think that's the matchup that we have to be looking out for.
Yeah, I definitely think it is the one we need to be looking out for, Kenobi. We do want to see these two players put on a show, and it could very well be a show from either of them. I just want to see some fireworks, right?
I want to see League of Legends. I want to see League of Legends. I have not had League of Legends for, this entire year so far. Haha, 2022 joke, but it's been quite a while, besides LPL, which happened a little bit earlier today, but in the West it's been, we're going to be the first. There's another stream going on, but this is the first time that we're seeing a lot of these players and a lot of competitive League of Legends action here in NA.
Yeah, it is our first time, and the action still eludes us just a little bit, so hopefully we can get paid back with a really fireworks game number 1, Kenobi, so that we can see. Oh, and finally, I think we're getting the word. Ooh. Are we in to game on stream somewhere? Maybe? Question mark. We're waiting.
Hey,
there we go.
There we go.
We are on to the Rift. A reminder here, we have got no team on the red side, no ace on the blue side, running out onto Summoner's Rift. And finally, we can say welcome back to League of Legends.
Yeah, and why don't you can take a little bit of stock here. Oh, the Rift just looks so nice. I love just seeing we're inside of League of Legends here. And let's take a little bit of stock in, what we have in terms of runes and stuff. Pretty standard across the board. One of the interesting things here is I think the Syndra taking the Aerie, so offering a little bit more of that poke potential to try and push Victor out as best as they can, and gain that push and gain the control that way. Everything else looks pretty standard in terms of what I'm seeing. Griffin taking the Ghost Smite, obviously, because, Hecarim, just that's what you want. You want to be zooming at people, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing.
You're basically Sonic the Hedgehog, but actually scary and cool. Sorry, Sonic fans.
Okay, legit. You are dabbling in some dark arts there. Sonic fans are not the people you want to piss off.
Oh no, I might have stepped. I'm coming in a little hot, Kenobi.
You stepped on some very shaky ground.
We're a little pent up here, right? I wanted to come in with something a little spicy to start off, but the old adage holds true. If you are this Hecarim, if you are Griffin, you gotta go fast. You gotta go very fast. Ghost and Phase Rush, they are in as a standard start to this game. Wards are placed pretty shallow positions here, just a slight defensive one for Blaze, who thinks he will have the push, of course, and not even seeing any blue wards have been placed down, even defensively here.
Yeah, and this is kind of what's going to be happening in that bot lane. It's going to be a pretty big push from, the bot lane of No Ace just moving forward. Kitsuo is actually starting blue side, or starting that blue area, and going to be moving downwards. I think probably going to potentially move towards going towards that full clear, then maybe wrap back up to that mid lane if Syndra is going to be getting the push, as actually Tapo wants this a little bit against Dragoon and get some nice damage done here at the start.
Yeah, Poppy really, really impressive in the early stages because of the range on the passive, right? That Buckler doing a ton of damage to Dragoon with the grass procs. Of course, Dragoon has some pots. He can pop them, but this will be kind of how the lane goes for the first few levels, Kenobi. At some point, of course, when Poppy's got to get in and aggressive, it'll go a little bit differently, but we will see Tapo with some priorities. Kitsuo's first attempt does not bear any fruit.
So, well, he did actually get the flash mid lane off of Blaze, so that's a pretty big deal. That means that now there is a potential for Kitsuo to come back in this early part of the game where Blaze isn't going to have that flash and can get Victor a little bit more of that help. As Kitsuo didn't wrap from the red side, he actually went back around through his blue side jungle, and they knew, I think that was actually really good pathing from Kitsuo, because I think they thought that he would be coming from the bot side, but instead came from that top side, was able to get a nice flash out as Griffin doing what Hecarim does, power farming right now, wants that 6 so you can get some really good ganks off.
Yeah, he's already level 4, and the price to pay for that level 3 gank from Kitsuo, you look at Griffin, he is 29 CS, he's already 6 camps in on his clear, even cleared a ward away, so he is feeling very, very good. And one thing to note as well is that flash earned onto Blaze did cost Kitsuo his flash, so it was an even trade with Griffin getting the big CS advantage.
To be fair, though, if it is flash, flash on Xin Zhao versus flash on Syndra, I'll take flash off of, I'll take that trade any day, because the mid laner now has a little bit more agency to work with, as bot lane, a little bit more even, not as much pushing as I would have expected from this bot lane of No Ace right now. They're just, playing it very slow, trying to get as much poke as possible. Griffin is here in that bot lane, but the wave is going to be pushing forward.
Yeah, not sure if he's if he's here to gank or if he's just here to cover the push. Might be expecting Kitsuo to show up, and Kitsuo was on this bottom side, so probably pretty clever pathing from Griffin as he just heads back and taking a look at his jungle, right? He's got 2 camps spawning right now. It's just excellent timing from the young jungler.
We're seeing top lane again, just kind of being, back and forth, not too much happening. Trades of blows between both of them, as Dragoon will be trying to go for a reset here in this top lane. As we look around, I mean, Griffin is power farming as much as they can here, and this potential to just get to level 6. Everything else looks pretty standard, except for the fact that Big Head has a pretty significant CS lead off of that gank from Kitsuo. So Kitsuo is kind of giving the ball to Big Head here and saying, I'm giving you a lead, what can you do with this advantage?
Yeah, basically that trade in the mid jungle duo, right? We talked about the lead for Griffin. Now it is Arguments, the one with the big CS advantage against Blaze, and doing a nice job pressuring him out with the laser. Again, we mentioned this should be a Syndra favored pushing lane thus far with that flash advantage. Arguments really making the most of what he's been given.
And now Infernal Drake is up, so I wonder with this mid control and mid area, or mid advantage, I think that we see from the side of No Ace, is Infernal Drake going to be on the table? As Griffin is looking for a gank here. Tapo
he doesn't know.
Is not aware of this. Here comes Griffin, but Kitsuo is here.
All right, gonna pass a steadfast presence. Nice stun into the wall.
No
Griffin
ultis.
in a little bit of trouble. Gonna pop the ghost early on. Dragoon, he's going in, but he's going so low. He pops the shield. Can they get the first blood? He does. Dragoon is gonna outplay him.
Dragoon's alive.
He flashes away. Tapo's still alive. He gets the shield. Griffin goes down. Huge save from Arguments as he gets first push. It's a 1-for-1 with first blood going to Dragoon.
Oh, that was so close. And Arguments
Wait,
goes
flash
for
in.
it against Dragoon, but he has the
shield.
shield. Oh, no!
Arguments is gonna die. Arguments, no! Oh, I love the attempt. It's so bold from Arguments. He's feeling the blood course through his veins as he gets the first kill.
Oh,
but
the
he
dive.
doesn't have the outplay on Dragoon, and now they might get punished in the bottom lane. Corgi and Omnix are in some trouble. The flash in, the ultimate just deletes Corgi. And while there will be a trade kill, that is a very worthwhile 2-for-1 for Scooped and No Team.
I mean, what a complete, just absolute bloodbath in the last 30 seconds it's been, as Kitsuo is here, but I don't know if Kitsuo wants this smoke against Griffin while the bot lane is still so close. Doesn't look like we will be seeing a lot of trading going on, but man, DJ, we went from that top side looking so close where it could have gone either way. Victor comes in, Arguments goes for the dive, but doesn't, I think, expect that shielding is going to be there, and Dragoon is able to live and able to get those 2 kills in their back pocket, but throughout all that, Syndra managed to get 2 kills in that bot lane. So from No Team, I think really good from them, you know, as soon as the Victor goes top lane, Syndra decides, you know, push out, and we're going to try and get something done in the bot lane as
oh my God.
This Dragon looks like it's going to go down.
He's just waiting. He's just waiting. Now he's going to pop it. He's just going to walk away. Looks like the pressure's not quite there. He's going to try and bother the blue buff. Did he steal that away? He did. Argument's going to pick that blue buff away from Griffin, who was smiteless. So a little bit earned back by Noahs as they get a Drake and another buff.
This has been, it looks like Dragoon's going to be going in onto Topo here, and this is where Dragoon starts to get a little bit scary, right? Had some items in their back pocket right now to really pump out the damage against Topo, as if he has ultimate here, I don't think Topo wants these fights. You know, the Topo is just going to try and, I think here, you know, slow it down a bit, doesn't want to just, you know, poke out with the passive, and from there, try and just keep securing this lane, because if a Mordekaiser, you know, there's a lot of memes about Mordekaiser and, you know, how he's, you know, everyone does something better than he does, but if Mordekaiser gets accelerated, he's very, very scary to deal with, so.
Oh yeah, he's already very scary with 2 kills, 51 CS, and I gotta say, right, we were hyping up Griffin in this matchup, but I think his early game's been very good, decision-making, pathing, right, he's been in the right places, but man, oh man, is Dragoon trying to remind us that he is the Scouting Grounds champion, Kenobi, and what an outplay on those first 2 kills, a turnaround from the early laning phase, and now in full control of his portion of the map and ready to be the carry for his squad.
It's going to be rewarded with a Rift Herald here for No Team and for Griffin right now. I wonder where they're going to decide to put that one down, maybe give some extra gold. I mean, at this point, you have 2 options where you can give it to Dragoon, accelerate him a little bit more, or give it to Syndra. I would probably prefer the Syndra, because Syndra is, right now, has those 2 kills, down a little bit of CS, but is definitely one of those champions where if you get them ahead in gold and accelerated, they're going to wipe the floor in terms of the damage.
Oh yeah, I mean, unleash power with the item already in. It's so easy. I mean, that will just absolutely obliterate anyone. Or with the Lost Chapter, if I just remembered the name. Yeah, that will obliterate anyone. I mean, the Sork Shoes are there too, so the damage is really, really high on Blaze right now, and it is very scary for anyone that doesn't have MR to walk into any sort of skirmish.
Oh, and it looks like we're actually... The wave is being pushed into that bot side. Griffin is here. Kitsuo might be looking for a lane gank, but Griffin has read this pretty well and is in position. Yeah, already going in. Jashuka is going to pop the ulti, going to get hit by the ECR. He will get absolutely deleted. Can they continue to play? Griffin, he feels like they can. Here comes the rocket. It's a reset for Scoop. It's 2 kills for Scoop. Kitsuo wants one back. He'll get it onto Griffin. Can he outplay Scoop? Good flash away, and it's 3. Scoop is looking clean in the early stages of 2022. What a nice engagement from Griffin, too. You know, already down a kill and thinks that he finds the perfect engagement with that Hecarim R, is able to get Jinx her passive off after those kills, and Jinx wipes the floor. You mentioned it. Scoop is in a very good position. 2 kills over to them, and oh, we actually see a solo kill in the top lane. You can't be walking up to Dragoon like that. That's the Scouting Grounds champion. Put some respect on my man's name.
Yeah, put a lot of respect on my man's name. It was bullied at level 1, and since that time, it has just been complete domination from Dragoon on this No Team, just popping off in the top lane. And while it was a pretty good start with that flash run in the mid lane, it feels like things are starting to spiral a little bit for Noise. Remember, they need to get ahead, Kenobi. They need to be ahead at the 15 to 20 minute mark. They're already down 3K, and Dragoon already has his mythic item.
Yeah, I mean, you read my mind. I was about to say, like, you know, we were talking about kind of before this match started that No Team, if they get, you know, towards like 25 minutes and they're even, I'd consider that a success. But they're really far ahead. 2 mythics. There's one on the Mordekaiser. Jinx has their Kraken Slayer right now. This bot lane is essentially going to be the scariest possible lane for No Ace's bot lane to walk into right now, because this Jinx is going to hurt. Along with that Nautilus, you lock down someone, instantly going to go down. So everything is coming up No Team right now. The gold lead, the itemization, it is all in their favor, and they are on the correct path to take this W.
Yeah, hell, Scoop even has double buffs. He's sitting so pretty right now. He's like, oh yeah, I got this nice little aura. I got my Kraken Slayer. Everything is absolutely wonderful and on the other end for Corgi. Unfortunately, it's not that fun as you're going to see that Rift Herald earned earlier by the play on top side. Popped in his lane. That turret's going to go down for full plating. It's all going to be handed over to Scoop. That's 610 extra gold for the 80 carry. And Kitsuo's here. I don't know if they want to fight this.
Yeah,
I don't really think they want to fight
actually,
this. ECR comes out. They do want to fight. Good separation. Scoop can't really auto right now. He's going to whip on the rocket, but it doesn't matter. Corgi's already down because Blaze is here. Kitsuo needs to
the Victor
back. He will shut down the 80 carry. And now with Victor around, arguments could turn the fight. He's trying to trace down Griffin. Needs a couple more speed ups. Blaze trying to hold him off. He sees Kitsuo in his eyes, though he may have to flash. That's not quite going to connect. And the wind becomes lightning, and Blaze is the one who's going to get the snipe as he walks on out to safety.
That was a call an ambulance for not for me moment right there. And you know what? We actually saw kind of a little bit of the impact of the TP changes right there. Look at the time, 13 minutes. If this is old League of Legends, like last year, 100% both those TPs are down there in the bot lane immediately, but it just has to be off of the skirmish, and you can see the total gold right now. I mean, Scooped is so far ahead of everyone else. That's a lot
of red there, Kenobi.
And where do you want most of your gold to be if this is, you know, you want it to be on your AD carry. You want to be on Scooped, who's on Jinx, a carry type of ADC, and you're right, lots of red at the top of that.
It is looking very, very pretty in the debut for No Team, led by Pukar with XT at the management slot. We all talked about how XT, right, he just somehow attracts all talented people every single year. Everyone's so excited for an XT roster, and looks like those thoughts were well-founded, although Tashuka could be in a little trouble as we got a split fight. One support in trouble, but it's arguments that is under siege from Griffin. How long can he stay alive? He's actually outplaying Griffin, and now it looks like the young jungler is up a creek without a paddle. He's going to get a charge onto Corgi. He's going to get a smite down, but at the end of the day, Griffin will fall for the third time this game.
And I think that was no team wanting to kind of just like, they saw the Victor was like pseudo out of position and tried to just make a play so that they could transfer that into a dragon pickup. It actually really well played from Noace to collapse onto that and help out their boys. And now that's going to be Mountain Drake secured here for Noace, as Dragoon is still a little bit of a problem in this top lane. Hasn't been able to impact any of the fights because obviously the TP changes weren't there, but as soon as he's starting to kind of go around the map, he will be someone that Noace has to keep an eye on and has to deal with because of that 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, TikTok, look at the clock. It's 14:46, which means our teleports are online, baby. Time for the top laners to rejoin the game, as it were, Kenobi. So
they got off the island. Let's go.
They got off the island. Finally, some help has arrived. We'll see where those first TPs do get used. But one thing that has to be mentioned after that successful play for Noace, right? It was looking kind of bad. It was looking a little rough with the gold lead, but now with two Drakes in their back pocket and that little bit of gold back, right? You see that jut back on the gold graph. They've got themselves a legit win condition.
Yeah, it's the soul actually that's going to be that win condition for them now that they have those two great Drakes like you mentioned. So there is a way back in for Noace, even though the gold lead is at that 5k mark where it is usually starting to get to that point where it's like, okay, this is a little bit dicey, but if they can win a couple of fights off of some enchanted crystal arrow engages or something like that, and they can transfer those into some more Drakes, they can get back into this game for sure, as Griffin's going to be picking up the second Rift Herald to try and break another turret and open that map up more.
Yeah, and while second Rift Herald not usually as valuable as the first, look at the map, right? There's only that one outer turret left, and this is pretty much going to guarantee it. And look at that, using his pressure actually along with Blaze will net them the turret without the use of the Rift Herald. Now it can be used for a secondary series of turret charge, and that's a lot of value you get without even putting it down.
Uh-oh. Ooh, Big Head just moves, or Arguments moves away just at the right time. Dragoon actually has ultimate, so I don't think Victor wants to go into the Death Realm with a Mordekaiser who's this fed right now. That seems like a bad idea, as we can see a little bit, zoom out, talk about what we got in terms of itemization. Most of everyone just has their starting mythics up, so the one thing that I'm a little bit worried about is Ashe here, because it's Immortal Shield Bow, and we know Immortal Shield Bow got clapped in terms of patch notes, so I'm a little bit scared. But here goes Griffin in. That's a very aggressive engage.
Goes straight in. Corgi gets away. Griffin's already going low. He's almost certainly going to fall, and he is the first one down. Dragoon making that flanking TP. What can he get done? There's a nice hammer from Poppy. The Death Realm has been procced, but Dragoon, he's in the middle of 5 people. Can he get this done on his own? He needs to get that reset. Kitsuo's down. Now Dragoon gets the extra stats. He gets the shielding. He's way too strong for Noace, and it's Dragoon once again that determines the outcome of the fight.
I thought that was a little bit over-aggressive at the start there from Griffin, but actually it seemed like it worked out extremely well for them. There was a lot of cooldowns forced directly onto Griffin in that engagement that wasn't there for the rest of the fight, and once Dragoon comes into these fights now, again, he can just lock someone in the Death Realm. There's really no one that I think that can 1v1 him besides maybe Jin Zhao, but Jin Zhao's too far behind in terms of just the levels and experience right now, so I think that was really well played from Dragoon coming into that fight afterwards, and nets them a kill. 4-0 right now for that Mordekaiser, and he's looking like a beast.
Oh, he's looking like a really big beast. And man, I would love to believe in, as good as Kitsuo is, I would love to believe he can 1v1 a Mordekaiser, but
I mean, he's level 10 and he's 13,
I see a ninja Tabby Kenobi, and I think, me thinks not. Me thinks that would be a tricky proposition.
It'd be hard. I mean, even with like Gore Drinker, it's like the levels are.
We would need some armored pen. We would need some armored pen in the kit, I think.
Yeah, please, we need something to help out. There needs to be like a hack where you can put like someone else in the Death Realm. That would help. I think Kitsuo will win that one.
That would be an interesting one. If a Mordekaiser hits like 5 kills above, you actually have to pull a second person into the Death Realm. There's a trade-off there because now there's only 3 people outside the Death Realm, but still.
That's a comeback mechanic. Just be like, okay, well, if the Mordekaiser is like grossly fed, just you have to bring someone else in there to make it fair.
Something to ponder, Riot Games, if you are listening in. Something to ponder for the future, right? Can't be any crazier than Chemtech Drake is at the moment, of course. We do see that second Rift Herald get popped down. It will be the tier 2 bottom lane turret that is taken as the prize, and Griffin just going to head for the camps as well as resets are coming in. We're at that mid-game point, but if we look up at the timer, we got a Drake in 30 seconds, and I would have to imagine that's what Noace is going to have their eyes on.
But this fight is going to be incredibly scary here, DJ, because you look at the itemization right now, and I talked about it in the draft where it's like 2.5 to 3 items is where this team for No Team starts to come online. Mordekaiser has 2 items. Syndra has essentially 2 items in their back pocket right now. Jinx is at 2.5. Like, this team fight, if it's not just an insta-kill, is going to be very scary. As Kitsuo, oh no,
so we're going to see
him actually
Death Realm here between Kitsuo and Dragoon, and Dragoon's flashing on him, and Kitsuo's run out of room, and one more Q would do it. It's a nice CC, but it's not enough. Dragoon wins it handily, and now Griffin's here to clean it up. Enchanted Crystal Arrow's gonna go wide. Oh, arguments. He's here, but I think he's up a creek. He's got some support. He's trying to run them down, but he just doesn't have the damage. And meanwhile, the Drake is being taken by the bottom lane of No Team, and it's a win out across the map.
I mean, and look at where everyone went from Noace. They had to go all the way and try and fight that one, but through all of that, the Drake was taken, Syndra was pushing through that bot lane, Jinx is pushing through the mid. They gave up a lot of map pressure, and now it's just completely on No Team to just take as much as they want here in terms of vision, in terms of jungle camps, towers. A very costly engagement for Noace, and No Team are in a very good position right now. Objective bounties are up, so this is, again, a point where there is still that way back for Noace, right? But it's starting to get harder and harder as the itemization comes in from No Team. As this game drags on, it's still a tough proposition for Noace to come back into this one.
Yeah, the objective bounties are there, but you can already see the vision being dropped down. I mean, there's 4 wards on different parts of the map in the enemy jungle. Kitsuo is about to walk by 3 of them, and it just makes it so hard to find your footing, to get a chance to even get to those objectives at this point, Kenobi. And that's without even talking about the scaling, about the itemization. Things very much in the favor of No Team as they're rapidly approaching a 10k gold lead. It's about 8.5 at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where also No Team is basically going to have map hacks for a lot of this, right? Like, and Noace is going to have to spend so much time just clearing wards as much as they can here, but I think No Team has done a pretty good job of making sure that they're clearing their own wards for themselves and taking whatever they want because of the map pressure that they have. As we zoom out a bit, Baron is up right now, so that is a potential option. for an objective bounty, if a team fight is going to start. I don't know if we'll see a rush from No Team onto the Baron. They definitely could with the amount of damage that they have with like the Mord and with the Jinx at the current state they're in. So it is a possibility with Mord actually in the bot lane. Looks like they will be going for it. And this Baron,
they spotted Kitsuo basing. Yeah, they spotted Kitsuo basing for his second item. He just completed Hysteric's Gauge, but they saw him on a ward, or at least before he based with the ward, and they don't know yet. They're absolutely shredding it. Scooped has 3 items. This is going to go down.
They know now. I mean, the Ashe finds it, but just unfortunately not in time. As it looks like
Griffin's in trouble.
Oh, has to get out.
ECR not going to connect. Jashuka in a lot of trouble. They're trying to turn it around, though. There's the Unleashed Power. Kitsuo's still alive, but one more auto will take him down. It's actually Blaze that secures the kill. Now Jashuka, he's flashing away to safety. One base will complete as Griffin's got balls of steel right in the face of Arguments, and it's a kill plus a Baron on all 5 members for No Team.
Man, that seemed like it was so close to turning one way or the other. Kitsuo had actually a sick engagement, but the Unleashed Power from Blaze was just too strong, and he went down. And with the Baron now, and with this 10k gold lead, No Ace is on the back foot as much as they could be, it feels like, throughout the entirety of this game. And it's just on No Team right now to push in those waves, continue to control that vision, and, you know, take the win.
Looking for that clean execution now in the mid to late game. With this advantage are we from No Team, and already they're setting up a line of vision in the jungle. They're there to support that split push from Dragoon. Really like the look that this young squad is giving. Again, not a lot of practice time, not that much synergy in the squad, but they're looking fairly clean thus far and have just a couple more steps to take to close out this game.
Yep, they're just going to be pushing in their wave. Syndra is pushing that top side by themselves here. Mordekaiser does demand 2 people to be over by him because he's at level 16, so fed right now. And again, it's just about dotting your I's and crossing your T's at this point, because the gold lead is in their favor, the items are in their favor. The match itself just feels like it's in the favor, as it looks like you might see a movement of a lot of No Ace towards that top side. Potentially Corgi Dorgi can come in with maybe an...
Scooped with the fancy feet, and Griffin's just going to engage right onto Corgi. Great engage from Griffin. Now the ultimate comes through. The reset's already in. One more rocket almost takes down Omnix, but he can get away, just very low on health at the moment, and turret's going to fall in response. The first inhibitor will go down as the dredge line goes wide, and it's just going to be destruction across the base now. 1 inhibitor down. This should be 2 at the end of the day, and maybe 1 more chance for No Ace to try to hold.
Yeah, and it looks like actually No Team is going to be backing out here and sending themselves home. You know, again, they got what they wanted. They got 2 inhibitors. It's going to be very hard for No Ace to even come out of their base now for a lot of this. So I think this is a good decision. You know, go back, get the Drake as well. Don't let No Ace back into this game at all, because if you take that fight and like something, you know, hypothetically goes extremely wrong, then you give that Drake over, and then Soul starts to become a possibility for No Ace as a way back into this game with the objective bounty on top of that. So good decision from No Team. Again, just playing this super carefully, super well. I think this is a good decision from them.
Come on, Joss. Let's see.
He's not. There's no way. There's no.
No empowered Q. Okay. Meanwhile, Kitsuo going into 1v2, seeing what he can get done. Conqueror procced, and down he goes to Scooped. Didn't quite see how he got caught out there, but unfortunately, time seems to be very much running out. Nice enchanted crystal arrow, but well done by Jashuka, doing his supportal work, doing his duties, keeping his AD carry alive, and that's a lot of tools now missing from the side of No Ace, and they've even got to run all the way back to their base. He's just going to let him. Oh, no. Oh, wow. The shield bow barely keeps him alive. Super Mega Death Rocket will not connect onto Corgi, but he can't even get back into his own base, Kenobi, and it's pretty much said, all said and done here. Arguments is completely caught out on the top side. He's almost certainly
the
going
Nautilus
to die.
Is 1v2.
Yeah, we're into chaos territory here. The result is pretty much decided. Scoop's gonna pop the stopwatch.
Respect the 1v2.
He'll pick up the kill
Respect
on
it.
Arguments. No way. No way. Blaze gonna come in and save Jashuka with an absolutely devastating scatter of the week. And yeah, here's our 1v2. We were talking about this, right? Death Realm 1v2. I still don't know if they win. It's a lot of turret shots. Dragoon has to flash away, but he will keep himself alive. And there's the stun. Kitsuo, he's going to go down. Griffin with another Excellent engage. Can Topo live? No, he cannot. A double kill for Blaze will seal the deal on the first win on the first game for this new team, this no team. They will get their first win of the Proving Ground circuit.
No team looking crisp and clean here at the end, even getting a kill in the fountain. Oh, this is
already dead.
Stop yeah. This is the stop. They're already dead moment there. No ace, unfortunately, will fall, but no team, fortunately for them, take the victory, get themselves 5 points, and move forward in our Swiss style of bracket. And man, what a performance from everyone. It felt like everyone had their little bits of moments in that one from this team.
Yeah, I really do agree, right? If again, we mentioned, right, some of the things mentioned by Pukar and NXT. It's a young team. They haven't had a lot of time to practice. We've even heard that mentioned by other teams. This was a very clean first performance from them against a team that they had a lot of respect for, that they knew would be good. One or two small mistakes, right? A bot lane play where Griffin died, getting caught out. But other than that, there was not a lot wrong with that game, and looking very, very solid in their inaugural performance for the squad.
And speaking of Griffin, because we kind of touted him out a little bit in terms of, being the next big thing in NA, I really liked what I saw from him, just kind of in he's a very high resource jungler, but one of those things where I think he had a really good idea of how to accelerate the rest of the team. Because I think that there was that one bot lane play where he goes down to the bot lane, it's a 3v3 turns into 2v3, and he just sacrifices his body with an ultimate to get scooped 2 kills. I think it was actually 2 kills, not 3 kills. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the Jinx just becomes an absolute monster, and Scoop takes that advantage that they had and completely dominates the bot lane with it. So I think Griffin did a really good job while, the KDA wasn't the artist. Griffin did a phenomenal job of facilitating the rest of the team, and I think that was actually something that was really cool to see from, a new jungler who has been touted as, this person who can, carry the game, but also can facilitate a little bit.
Yeah, valiant effort on the other end. You can see there by Kitsuo and Arguments. Leading the damage charts was Kitsuo with 16,226, but unfortunately not enough to carry his team to victory in their opening game. They will, of course, get another chance. This is not a traditional OQ where it's one game and you're done. This is a Swiss-style OQ, so we will see no ace go to 0-1. They will play their second game of the day against another 0-1 team, and vice versa on the other side for no team. They will play a team that finishes their first game in 1-0 fashion. We'll see those brackets out very, very soon once all the games are completed. So keep your eyes peeled onto Unified socials to see what the second games will be. But before we do see that, we'll be throwing it to a break, and we'll be back to you with the second game of the day here on the Unified 2 channel. So do not go anywhere. We've got more Proving Grounds for you.